called Fountain of Joy.
I used to live in the future. I once dwelled in the past. Never a thought for the moment till I found a secret at last. Now I can understand the living. I give it back to the world. Velvet is all in the dream. I see my land is done. I am I am this mountain of love. I know to say yes. Happiness can save the best.
And now, time to meet and greet your neighbor. Go say howdy. And work your way on back because we have more singing to do. Here we are.
There is no time like the present. There is no day like today. No matter what's wrong in this instant, it changes whenever I say. I am this mountain of love. I vow to say yes. Happiness 'cause I saved the best for now. I am blessed with happiness 'cause I saved the best for now.
Welcome. I'm on there. Welcome, 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 welcome. Settle down. Settle down. This is a good crowd. I love it. Great day to be alive. So, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Capistrano Valley. My name is Arpak Petros. I am a staff minister here. And wherever you have been on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. I promise that. This is our spiritual home, and we welcome you with open arms. We're all the old timers today. I love guest interaction. Isn't it great? We've done something a little different this morning, but it's up to you to find out what we did. Okay? For you newbies here, it's not going to matter because you're not going to know the difference. So so welcome again, and we're going to start this morning by reading the Flames of Faith. If you would just join me in listening and Hayden. Here you go. We perform this ceremony to promote universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, and all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, all sweet. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience. We honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs, practices of all indigenous people, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. As Aiden Greeny lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. If you would join me in an affirmation or a prayer or a connection, just take a deep breath. And know with me that love is the answer. Love has always been the answer, and it is our guide. It is the universal golden thread that connects and binds all things. And it's through this connection, through this thread, that it is up to us to find and explore what that looks like. It is up to us to find the beauty, the grace, the joy, the happiness in life. It is up to us to make a difference in what we do, what we say, who we are. It is up to us to make and take our gifts and put it out into the universe to do good with all that we have. Because, my friends, we are the holy, we are the sacred, and we are also the divine, part and parcel of one consciousness called God. We are the individualized expression of spirit. And this morning, as we release these words into the universe, we know that our thoughts, our deeds have made a difference in the world. And together we say, and so it is. And it is now time to invite Nita Baraldi to give you a summary affirmation. Thank you.
Good morning. I'll first read the affirmation and then please join me as it will be printed up for you. We see a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. Now join me. We see a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and where there is generous and continuous sharing of these resources. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Now, please welcome Debbie Wheeler.
I see animals and birds and flowers, every color, every shape and size, moss and pebbles and a host of wonders, bleeding everywhere I aim my eyes. So if ever I'm attacked by boredom, I'll just open up my eyes and see this diversified, curious, fascinating, bountiful, beautiful, beautiful world. I hear chattering, I hear chirping, whistling, murmuring, and honking snorts. When I simply take the time to listen, I hear music of 1,000 sorts. So, if ever I would rest my eyes, my ears would easily describe to me this diversified, curious, this fascinating, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful world. Thank you very much for all I see, hear, taste, and touch, plus every whiff I sniff and think. Still, it's possible the day may come when momentarily the world wears thin. If I weary of the world outside me, I can always take a good look in. So, along with every cloud and cobweb, I'm emphatically a member of this diversified, curious, this fascinating, bountiful, beautiful, beautiful world.
Debbie Wheeler. Absolutely delightful. And now please welcome Reverend Heather Dawn Clark.
Good morning. So good to see you all. Wow. Wow. This is a wonderful Sunday. And the message this Sunday is about how generous people see the world. So just think about the most generous people you know. When I was thinking about this, I was thinking, I see so many. There's so many generous people. In fact, I wrote an article about that in the Science Mind magazine this month. So you might want to read that. It was a very good article. Thank you, Reverend Judy. I want you to just think about that. Generous people. When I was a kid, my best friend's mom was the most generous person I knew. She was generous in that she gave hugs. She gave hugs to everyone, and she was one of those huggers that when she got you, you couldn't get out. And I was kind of shy kid, but honestly, I loved those hugs that Isabel gave. So she gave hugs, and she gave generously. She gave of her time. She, of course, like many people in small communities, was involved in everything. But the most generous thing I noticed about her was Lois and her brother, my best friend and her brother, could bring home 12, 20, or 25 people for dinner, and she always had enough. She said, of course you'll all stay. Of course you'll eat. Of course there's plenty. The most generous person I know comes from that place of knowing that we live in an abundant universe and there's always enough. Now, I didn't ever notice that the portions were smaller when I was at the Coles dinners, but they somehow managed. Imagine 20 extra people. They managed. Now, mind you, they were farmers. So the chickens, the eggs, the meat, even the milk and cream was produced right there. Generosity. And you know what? Some of the most generous people I know are sitting right in front of me. So would you just look at your neighbor and say to that person, thanks for being so generous. Now look at the other neighbor and say the same thing. Thanks for being so generous. It's absolutely true that you are a generous person. We know this. We know this by how you give of your talent, how you give of your time, how you give of your money. How do generous people see the world then is how you see the world. How you see your world is how a generous person sees the world. And when you are completely immersed in spirit, what you see is not only sufficiency, you see abundance. What you get is that there's this world, this universe that we're in is not finite, but rather it's an infinite abundance. And the first thing that's abundant is consciousness, ideas. There's always a new idea. There's always a new idea for you. There's always a new idea to prosper you. There's always a new idea for you to grow and for you to grow into. And why is that? It's because the nature of life is abundance itself. Because the source of all supply is everywhere present. It's not only permeating, penetrating every space of time and this space, but it's permeating you. It's who you really are. The cause of abundance is you. This is the whole science of mind, and I'm passionate about this. It's what we believe. It's what we teach here. And I love this time of year as we're moving into classes in the fall where we know that we're going to be reminded. We're going to be reminded of who we are and what we're doing here and what the possibilities are for us. What the possibilities are for us to live a happier, healthier, wealthier, more creative life. what everybody wants. So I want to give some praise to some people. First of all, the minister who put this message together that for Centers for Spiritual Living is one of the youngest ministers in the field. Her name's Abigail Scherer. She's in Redwood City. If you ever get to that area, go to her center. She's dynamic. She's, as I said, one of the youngest ones, and it was the most inspiring of any that I've seen so far. It was most inspiring. And it was because she really put her heart into this message, as I am also doing as I give you my take on it. So Ernest Holmes says, throughout the textbook in so many ways, this thing itself that is substance is moving through you. And then he reminds us, do not use this one power for sacrifice. You do not need to sacrifice anything, and neither does anyone else. There's already enough. And the nature of this life of sufficiency is joy. It's joy. You already have enough. There is enough. And Reverend Abigail gives some wonderful examples. I want to share some of them with you. And while I'm finding her examples, one comes from one of the quotes she has is from Spiritual Economics, one of our favorite books and classes. And it's this: the word affluence is an overworked word in our time, usually implying cars and houses and baubles of all kinds. Its literal meaning is an abundant flow, and not things at all. When we're consciously centered in that universal flow, we experience inner direction and unfoldment of creative activity. Then here's what happens. Things come too. So the houses, the cars, the baubles come too. But prosperity is not just having things, it's the consciousness that attracts things. And that consciousness is a consciousness of joy, a consciousness of aliveness. Put your hand in your heart. Feel that heart beating. And repeat after me. I fairly sizzle with the enthusiasm of life. Don't you love that word, sizzle? I love that word, sizzle. So the thing about generous people is, there are 3 points that I want to make. One is generous people see that there's an abundance of resources, that the resources are not finite, they're infinite. And so when you think of, if you need your slice of the pie, a generous person knows that there are plenty of pies to slice. There isn't just one. There are lots of pies. And the second thing is that a generous person knows that generosity leads to happiness. And those of you who are in service or have been in service know how much joy it brings to give of yourself, to be in service. She gives this great example, which was in Newsweek, I think, of 2015. It was about a little girl, 9-year-old, who had a lemonade stand in Ohio, and she was saving up from her lemonade proceeds to buy a tablet to use at school. So when Zach Repose stopped by for a sip of lemonade, he heard the story and he thought, this is amazing. What a wonderful child she is. And he went to Best Buy and bought her a tablet. He was a police officer that had only been 8 months on his job. And he was then featured in the local paper. He couldn't understand why he was getting so much publicity. He said it wasn't uncommon to be generous. In fact, other officers that served with him were also generous and had done generous things. Like attracts like. So it didn't surprise me to read that either, that not only did he feel that it was just a no thing, it was just something he was doing. He wasn't doing it for the publicity, and I think it sounded like the publicity made him a little irritated. He was doing it to see the smile on this little girl's face because he could. And because she was a model of industriousness, of self-responsibility. Anyway, so generous people give of themselves. You know, when he gave that tablet, he was giving of himself. You cannot give anything that if you're really giving it, it's you give yourself with it. You give your consciousness with it. You give your life. You give your life with it. So then the third thing about generous people is that generous people know that making just one difference in one life is enough. You don't have to make a difference in a whole congregation's lives, but it's great if you do. You don't have to make a difference in, a stadium full of people or a community. Making the difference in one life is enough. And what I know is that when you do make a difference in one life, the energy of that difference bubbles up and affects all the people around. So just think about yourself. When you're feeling great about life, there's a smile on your face. And when there's a smile on your face, it's contagious. Other people smile. They smile back at you. They feel blessed by you, and they might not use those words. They might not have that language. But in fact, you are a blessing because you're God's emissary. You're God's expression of being. So one of the examples that she shares, and it's one of my favorite stories, so I'm going to share it with you, and I don't think I've told this one for a long time, story of a cabbie who was called late at night to pick up someone. And so he got to the house at 2:30 in the morning, and he saw just a little light on. And he said he wasn't really sure whether he should go in or not because no one was out, and there was just this one light, and it looked like the place was pretty well deserted. Not a great neighborhood. But he went anyway, and he rang the bell or knocked, and he could hear something heavy being dragged across the floor. And so there's seats over here, Joan and Michael. Isn't that great? He could hear something being dragged across the floor. So finally, a very elderly woman answered the door. And in a very frail voice, she said, "Could you assist me with my suitcase?" And he said, "Of course." And it was a very small suitcase and light. And he noticed that there was nothing on the walls, no artwork or no knickknacks around, and the furniture was covered. And he said, "Are you going somewhere?" And she said, "Yes, I'm going to hospice. I don't have much time left, the doctors tell me. I'm going to hospice." And she gave him the address, and he said, "Would you mind going through downtown?" He said, "Well, ma'am, I don't mind at all, but it's going to be quite a bit out of your way." And that, "I'm going to hospice. I don't mind. Would you please take me through downtown?" And so he went through downtown, and these are my prayers being answered, by the way. So There's some seats in here, a couple seats here. I'm so happy to see everybody. And as he was driving, she'd say, could you stop here and say, that's the place where I used to live, my husband, where we first met, where he first took me. The place where we first went to our first dance, our first date together. She went to all of these places, and it took hours. He, of course, had turned his meter off right at the beginning. And when he took her, got to the place, the attendants there were ready for her, and they brought a wheelchair out, and they got her into the wheelchair. And he said that he drove away. He did not take another fare that night. That blessing of being with that woman in her final moments or final days, helping her review and remember her life, was the greatest gift he could have received. And he was doing the giving. You see, just one. He was doing the giving, and it's just one person. But can you imagine how that cab felt the next day when someone got in? All that love that was in there. Because it's tangible, it's real. So think about your own lives. What we're saying is that generous people are happy people. Generous people are productive people. Generous people are God people. Because you're giving from that sense of oneness, of aliveness, of wholeness. It did remind me of this story that I wanted to share with you. A man had decided he was going to take it with him. So what he did was, and I guess he wasn't thinking about his wife, but he asked her, please go to the bank and draw out this amount of money, and then here are 2 pillowcases, put half in one pillowcase, half in the other, and put it in the attic. So then when I'm called to heaven, I will just make that one quick stop in the attic and take it with me. So several weeks after his death, she went to the attic and she noticed that these pillowcases were still there, filled with money. And she said, oh, that darn fool. I knew he should have taken it to the basement. Okay, well, we don't believe in a greater later, nor do we believe in a greater hell. We know that we create our own, both heaven and hell, right here on earth, and we create it. I'm not saying that we don't believe that there is eternal life. We really believe that. But I am saying that we don't wait until a better time. This is the best time right now, best time of all to live a generous life. This is the best time to live a happy life, a fulfilled life. So if you're willing, then this week, you can take action in your own life. You can ask yourself, how can I be more generous today? What can I give that is also including who I am? What can I give away? And then you can ask yourself, what one person could I make a difference in their lives? What one thing could I do that would make a difference in that person's life? And of course, the big question, am I remembering who I am, where I am, and how I am? And if we do that, we will have an abundant life, and each one of us will truly be the generous person that our friends just said we were. So, how do generous people view their world? Exactly the way you do. And so it is. Thank you. Diane's going to set us up, and I'm going to pray after her introduction.
Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know that you are. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know. Believe and know that you are Lord. Believe and know that you are. Believe and know that you are Lord. Believe and know. Believe and know. Believe and know.
In this holy moment of now, I know that there's sufficient. I know that I am one with that one power. I know that that power is everywhere present. It's right where I am. And I speak this word in the first person for everyone. So I invite you to just accept what feels right for you and let anything else just wash away. And this is what I know, and this is my fervent prayer and belief. I am the wholeness of that divine mind. Every cell, every tissue, every function of every fiber of my being is in alignment with the grace of God, with the wholeness of life. I sizzle with vitality and energy and youthfulness. I am the beauty of that one, and I let that beauty shine. It's natural and normal to be filled with grace and to be filled with joy. And furthermore, I know that not only is my physical being one with the wholeness of God, but my mental being, my emotional being, my consciousness is God in expression of itself. I know that that is the truth of abundance of all life. It is truth of the creative nature in me and in everyone and as everyone. It is true that this creativity moves through me as a gift from God. And so my giving it is my expression. I know that what I give makes a difference, whether I give a smile, a word of encouragement, or a lecture. No matter what I give, whatever I give is God's gift pouring through me. And furthermore, I know not only am I that abundance and wholeness and creativity, but I am the love that God is. For love is all. And that love flows through me as connection, as friendships, as relationships, as source. I know that it's good and very good. I know that it's a blessing. I know that this center is a blessing, and that each one who is here by divine appointment, and he's here so that a greater awareness of his or her own generosity blossoms forth, and that which can be given is given. I know that this is already so. I accept it for myself and for every other person. And with great gratitude, I simply release this word to the action of law. It is complete. And please help me anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. Thank you. And now, Debbie Wheeler.
the world thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe display. Then sings my soul, my spirit rests in thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my spirit rests in thee. How great thou art, how great thou and the forest glades I wander, and I hear the birds singing sweetly in the trees. When I look down from lofty mountains' grandeur and hear and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior, God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my spirit rests in thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou
Thank you, Debbie. Wow, that was such a beautiful song. You did it so beautifully. It's time for us now to practice generosity. If our stewards would please come forward. It's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings. And if this is not a day that you give your financial gift, I invite you to put lots of love in that basket as it's coming by. So please repeat after me. Divine mind in me blesses and consecrates all that I am, all that I have, all that I give. I give with love, and I love to give. And so it is.
Sing a lonely child song, pocket full of rye, to the only wild bird beneath the northern sky. Hold your tired wings a while, you will wake to fly. Wild bird, dream a dream of lifting from this hollow tree. Fly a circle round the sun, high above the sea. When you reach the farther shore, then you will be free. Wild bird, looking below you, what do you see? Lone wild bird, is it me? Wild bird, oh wild bird, tell me what to do. If I were a wild bird, could I fly with you and turn a ring around the moon? Rest there when we're through. Wild bird, looking below you, what do you see? Lovely bird, is it me? Wild bird, oh wild bird, tell me what to do. If I were a wild bird, could I fly with you and turn a ring around the moon? Rest there when we're through.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get those kidlets in here.